Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Now we're going to be nice and happy and smiley. Okay. So the Gemara, Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We're going to do this tape also. Good morning, everyone. Okay, Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. On the top, Achi Yudach Ruba. So the rove of the city needs to be Yudach in order to have a Ir Nidachas. Zak the Gemara, Hechi Avdina, and what do? Amar Yehuda, Danin V'chovshin, Danin V'chovshin. So the problem is that if you telling me that 51% of the city has to be convicted of avodah-zarah in order to have a mir dachas, how does that work, Lamaisa? Because we know that as you convict somebody, what do you do to them? You kill them. So what's going to happen over here? That you're going to have 51% of the city that's going to be caught doing avodah-zarah all at the same time and tried and convicted. How's that going to work? So he says what you do is, even though there's no jail in Yiddishkeit in general in the Torah, you judge them and you put them in jail. And it doesn't say, it's not clear exactly how long you would leave them in jail, but it sounds like you leave them in jail and you see how long it'll be until other people come. And if you have enough people who come, once 51% of the city comes, so then you're going to go in and you're going to say that they're all going to get hariga, they're all going to get herek. Because again, skila is if you serve avodah-zarah. That's the highest level of punishment. Hereg is if the entire city is serving avodah-zarah. So really these guys individually should get skila. But we wait to see what's going to happen. And if 51% of the population ends up serving avodah-zarah, then basically retroactively we're going to give all these people herek. You can't do that. Because at the end of the day we know there's a halacha that when somebody is judged, so what do? You judge them and you kill them right away. So I can't put people into jail. So what should you do, Lamaisa? How can you have an Ir Nidachas and end up with 51% of the city who are serving avodah-zarah? No, you go ahead and you judge somebody when they serve avodah-zarah and you kill them. So how do you have an Ir Nidachas? Says Rashi, explaining the opinion of Ula, what do? You go ahead and everybody who serves avodah-zarah gets skila. After 51% of the people in the city already got skila, retroactively it's been now considered to be an Ir Nidachas. What's the nafkamina? Now you can destroy all the property in the city, and anybody who serves avodah-zarah or has served avodah-zarah in the meantime that hasn't been tried and convicted yet, what happens to them? They're going to get hereg. So the Gemara, Idmar, Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Danin v'soklin, Danin v'soklin, Rabbi Reish Lakish Amar, Marbilan beit-din. Reish Lakish comes along and says, we could do also something else. You don't have to give skila every single time. You could just have a lot of beit-din. What does that mean, you have a lot of beit-din? Go ahead and try everybody together. And instead of, the problem was that you're going to try them, you're going to convict them, and now you have to kill them right away. So don't try them and convict them right away. Wait a little bit, or it sounds like he's understanding that it was a technical problem that they couldn't try and convict everyone right away because at the end of the day they're all serving avodah-zarah, let's say, or 51%. It's in Ir Nidachas. So we're going to go. We don't have enough manpower to be able to try everybody. So set up a lot of beit-dinim, try everybody at the same time, convict everybody at the same time, and at the end of the day you'll have an Ir Nidachas. Says the Gemara, Ini, is that possible? That's what the pasuk says. Ish v'isha tamotzi l'sharecha v'yatamotzi kol ha'ir kula l'sharecha. No, the pasuk says you're not supposed to take the whole city at once. It's not meant to judge the whole city at once. So what is happening? Now how do you have an Ir Nidachas? He says, what do? You see a lot of people are serving avodah-zarah. You set up little courts everywhere. You don't try them. You basically just make sure that they're really serving avodah-zarah. Once you've clarified that you have 51% of the city serving avodah-zarah, you ship off city road trip. You ship them off to the Sanhedrin Agadol. Then they judge at once all of the people. And therefore, since Sanhedrin Gadol is ultimately judging and giving a declaration, and they're giving a psak all at once on 51% of the people, now it becomes an Ir Nidachas automatically. So that's the machlokes, really. Do you have to wait? Do you have to technically figure out how to judge them all at once with the certain small beit-din or the big beit-din, or the Maisa? Can we say that we go ahead and we're niskol each of them, and then once you niskol 51%, then it becomes an Ir Nidachas retroactively? Or do you say that you take each one and you put them into jail? That's the machlokes. There are different opinions in terms of how do you get to the 51%. Hakei takei es yoshvir, you have to hit them. Toner Rabbanan. Hachameres v'gamelas ha'overes m'makom l'makom lanu b'tzochu v'hudchu ima. So what happens if you have people passing through the city? You have people who come to visit. So if somebody comes for a night, they're obviously not part of the Ir Nidachas. Now again, we're going to see in a second, and it's important to reiterate, that a person who's in the Ir Nidachas does not get killed if he doesn't serve avodah-zarah. We don't just destroy the whole city. We get rid of all of the stuff in the city. If a person is in the Ir Nidachas, a tzaddik, as we'll see, and has stuff, if he has a house in Thornhill and it becomes an Ir Nidachas, his house is gone. But if you didn't serve avodah-zarah, you don't get killed. But if 51% of the city serve avodah-zarah, all the people that serve avodah-zarah get killed. Those are Rishayim. The tzaddikim don't get killed, but again, the stuff of the tzaddikim gets thrown out. So let's say a guy's visiting. He's here from Israel, he's visiting. So Lamaisa, now this becomes an Ir Nidachas. So what happens? Well, if he started avodah-zarah, he gets killed. If he didn't start avodah-zarah, he doesn't get killed. What happens to all of his stuff? What happens? Is he included in the 51%? Is he not included in the 51%? Says the Gemara, if they've been there for 30 days and they're serving avodah-zarah, then they're considered to be part of the Yer Nidachas. They get saif, their mammon is avad, and seemingly they'd be included in the count of 51%. Pachos mikan hein beskilo manam palat. If they're there for less than 30 days, they don't become part of the city. Therefore, what happens to them if they serve avodah-zarah? They actually get the higher punishment of skila, because they're not part of the Yer Nidachas. Seemingly they wouldn't count up to 51%. And their mammon, though, does not get destroyed, because again, they're not part of the Yer Nidachas. And a regular person who serves avodah-zarah gets the higher punishment of skila, but doesn't lose all of their mammon. Or mini, we have a kasha, kamiya be'iriya, kanche, yud beis chodesh, but we see clearly, going back to what Rabbi Golden spoke about, ger v'toshav, whether it's a ger or toshav, we see clearly that you have to be there 12 months, a year, in order to be considered part of the city or not. So what's the 30 days? Amar v'lokasha, hal mehave b'nei masa, hal mehave misva masa. No, there's a difference between a citizen and an inhabitant. A yoshvei ayir, it says clearly by the pasuk, by Yer Nidachas, that we count the yoshvei ayir. The yoshvei ayir are the people that are sitting in the city. Those are inhabitants. Those are not citizens. I don't know how long you have to be a citizen in Canada. 3 years, 5 years, something like that. But the yoshvei ayir, you're right. If it was talking about people that are citizens, then it would be 12 months. And that brisa you're bringing me is talking about citizens. That's 12 months. That's in general. You want to be be'ir ke'anshe, or you want to be a citizen. That's your beis chodesh. But if we're talking about here, how long are you considered to have been a person who's inhabiting the city? Which is the requirement in the case of the Yer Nidachas, that's 30 days. We have no problem. Citizen is 12 months, inhabitant is 30 days. By Yer Nidachas, all you need is an inhabitant. Therefore, once you're there for 30 days, you're a yoshvei ayir. V'atanya, usually v'atanya means akasha. Rashi points out that v'atanya over here, as it does sometimes, means binichusa, like nachas, like nicely. It's not a contradiction, it's a support. V'atanya moder hana mimei ayir. If I take hana that I'm not going to get any hana, I take a Ned, I'm not going to get any hana from the b'nei ha'ir. How long is that? 12 months. If I get hana from yoshvei ayir, what's that? 30 days. The aleph takes out the rest of it, because we're just dealing with those two words. Need to put everything into chayrim. So we said, we destroy all of this stuff. We're going to have 4 exclusions, and then I'll sum them up. So if there's stuff of the tzaddikim that's outside the year, if it's in the year, it's going to get destroyed. Stuff of the tzaddikim outside the year doesn't get destroyed. Stuff of the tzaddikim in the year does get destroyed. Shlala velo shlal shamayim, something that belongs to heaven does not get destroyed. Stuff of Rishaim outside the year gets destroyed. So Russia's stuff gets destroyed whether it's in the year or outside of the year. Tzaddik stuff gets destroyed in the year, but not if it's outside the year. Why is it that the nichsei of the tzaddikim that are in the year, if they're not getting killed, why is their stuff getting destroyed? Very interesting. Sometimes we do things for money that we wouldn't do otherwise. Why are the tzaddikim staying in the Yer Nidachas? If it's an Yer Nidachas, it's a bad place to live. Why are they staying there? They're staying there because l'maisa, at the end of the day, their money is there. And since they stayed because of their money, we're going to destroy their money. Now, lahavdil, not exactly the same situation, but there are certain countries in the world. You speak to people in the shul, there are a lot of people from South Africa, for instance. If you ask them why they leave, so a lot of them left because it wasn't safe. Why are they still there? People that stayed, many of them stayed because family or because of business, because of money. It's not the same thing. There, they're not staying, and it's a problem to stay in terms of staying in Yer Nidachas, but there are plenty of Jews who throughout the world now are staying in places that are not necessarily safe because of money. Over here, it's an equivalent, again, different situation, but it's the equivalent of, because the tzaddik stayed specifically for money, therefore we're going to destroy all of his money because he shouldn't have stayed there for money. These people are not necessarily doing anything wrong. It's a different cheshbon. But the point is that this tzaddik stayed specifically for money, and in Yer Nidachas there's no excuse to stay there specifically for money, and therefore, l'maisa, his stuff is going to be destroyed. Zak the Gemara. The nichsei of the Shem outside of the ear gets destroyed. It has to be able to be nakbitz l'tocha. That means we're going to destroy the city today. Let's say we judge this is Yer Nidachas. Now we're going to destroy the entire city. So what are we going to do? We're not going to wait a month, 6 months, 20 years in order to say, wait, oh, you're a Russia? Wait, we have to go get your stuff from Israel. Oh, and you're a Russia? We got to go get your stuff from New York. We're not going to do that. So what do? Anything that can be brought to the city, as Rashi explains, that day, that's included in getting destroyed. Stuff that a Russia has, which is in a Swiss bank account somewhere over there, that's not going to be destroyed. But now the other way, The pigdonos of an yer nidachas is mutter. What's that? Hechidami. Ilema dir acheres. Again, this is talking about Russia stuff outside the city, destroyed if it's within 1 day of the city. Outside 1 day of the city, logistically, we just can't destroy it. But if there's a pikadon of the yer nidachas, it's mutter. What does that mean? Ilema dir acheres ve'isnu begava shita dimutarin lav shlalahu. If you say that somebody else gave a pikadon to somebody in the Irani Dachas who's a Russia or even a tzaddik because his stuff's going to get destroyed also, so then it's pasha that stuff doesn't get destroyed. If I give you a pikadon and you happen to be living in the Irani Dachas, it's still my money, it doesn't get destroyed. That's pasha. So that can't be what it means. So what does it mean that the pikadon is mutter? But if it's the Russia stuff that you're saying is mutter, so what are you talking about? We just said if it's within 1 day, it's not mutter and you get destroyed. If it's further than 1 day, we already told you that it's not going to be destroyed. So what's the chiddush here that a pikadon is going to be mutter? Says Gemara la'olam di'ir acheres to mifkidei betocha. No, it means somebody gave something to somebody in the Irani Dachas to hold it. So what's the chiddush? It obviously belongs to the person outside the Irani Dachas. What's the chiddush that it's not going to be destroyed? I know it's not going to be destroyed. I know it's mutter. No. Usually when a person watches something as a pikadon, many times, let's say, he doesn't take achrayas on it. If he doesn't take achrayas, if he doesn't take responsibility, it's obvious that it belongs totally to the person who gave him the pikadon. Therefore, that's obvious that it's not going to be destroyed here. The case we're dealing with, which is the chiddush of mutter, is that Moish gave me something, I'm in the Irani Dachas, and I took achrayas for it. Which means if something happens to it, I'm responsible. There, one might have thought that since I took responsibility, it becomes like what? It becomes like my property. Therefore, when the city is destroyed, it will be destroyed along with the city. Kamash malan, that a pikadon in my hands, even if I take achrayas, is considered to still be your property, and therefore, when the city is destroyed, it will not be destroyed. It'll be mutter. It'll be returned to you. Kamash malan, that not. Amar of Chista. Behema chatz shel indachas chatz shel acheres asura. Isa chatz shel indachas chatz shel acheres muteres. If you have a behema that's half owned by Thornhill and half owned, we're in Makos, half owned by Thornhill and half owned by the other city, so what do? You go ahead and you have to destroy the behema. But if it's an Isa that's half owned by Thornhill and half owned by the Irani Dachas, then you don't have to destroy it. Says Gemara, my time, what's the difference between a behema and a Isa? Behema commandalo pli gadami, Isa command pal gadami. You can't split up a behema. As Rashi points out, once you want to kill a behema, you got to shecht it. So you shecht the behema, you can't shecht the behema and say it's half yours, half mine. You're shechting it. So at the end of the day, if we co-own a behema and half of the owner is what? Is an Irani Dachas, Lamaisa, the whole behema's got to go in the garbage. On Isa, we could split it in half. This half is mine, this half is yours. We can't start saying this part of the behema, it's all one behema. This part of the behema is yours, and this part of the behema is mine. Says a Gemara, which seems to be a theoretical question, Boy Rav Chista. Behemas Irani Dachas Mao Ditisnu Beshchita Latara Midena Vela. Lefichar Ramarachmana. Loshna Shachta Mishcha Loshna Kadla Migdalo Dilma came into Shachta Mehanyala Shchita Mai Teku. So now the Gemara asks a very interesting question. You ever wonder the following? You never thought about this. Says a Kohen cannot become Tameh. Kohen can't be Mitame to a person, Kohen can't be Mitame seemingly, or anybody can't be Mitame to an animal, let's say. Remember, back in the day, you want to be Torah and Tameh. So an animal that drops dead, what happens? It's Tameh, it's an Avela. Can't touch it, you touch it, you become Tameh. Why is a person not Tameh when they bring meat into their house? They go to Sobeys, they buy a package of meat. The meat is dead. Why are you not Tameh? Because when you shech the animal, it takes it out of the tumah and it brings it into the. It's not a veil anymore. It's kosher meat, and kosher meat also takes away the tumah. Very interesting. So the question becomes over here. Okay, I agree. You can't split up this behema. So now you got to go in and you got to kill it. Lefichar, if you shecht it, you kill it like everything else. So what do? You chop off the head. You chop off the head like you chop off all the heads of the people. Fine, everybody's dead. There's tumah everywhere. Again, this is sort of a theoretical question because what else are you going to do with it? Let's say you have guys who know how to learn. They learned this Gemara, or they know in general. Let's say when they're going to kill it leficharev, they know that this animal needs to die because it half belongs to Yaron Dachas. What do? They shech the animal in a kosher way. So it's dead, but when you shechted it, you shechted it in a kosher way, so will that dead animal, which is dead now because it's from the Yaron Dachas, is that dead animal now considered to be totally leficharev? It was killed with the Yaron Dachas, therefore it's a regular nevela. Or since you shechted it in the right way, lamaisa, it's not going to be tamei. So yes, it's dead. Yes, you can use it. But again, theoretically, for whatever reason, if you passed over it, you wouldn't be considered to be tamei. Which one is it? Says the Gemara teku. Could argue both ways. One can argue that since it got killed the fichar, even if you shechted it in the right way, lamaisa and avela is an avela and is avela. Or you could say enachanami needed to die. you killed it. But at the end of the day, since you killed it in the appropriate way, the regular way that you shech the behema, this behema, lamaisa, now that it's dead, is now a nevela, and it will not be makabel tuma, somebody who touches it. Very, very interesting question. Zak the Gemara. Boy Rav Yosef. Seir nashim tzikonios mao. The hair of nashim tzikonios, what do you do with it? What does that mean? Amarava. Had rishios aser? I don't understand. What's the question? You're making it sound like we have to don about the hair. What do you mean? The hair of the Russia, we said the Russia, what happens to them? They get killed. So what's the question, the hair of the Russia? The hair of the Russia, can you cut off? You cut off the person. We said that the mammon gets destroyed. All the property gets destroyed, whether it's the Russia's property or the tzaddik's property. You go ahead and you kill all the people that said avodah-zarah. That's a Russia. Now you want to go ahead and you want to cut off the hair of the person who died. Can you take off the hair or not? Is that considered to be their mammon or not their mammon? What? Why not? The person's dead. What about their hair? Says the Gemara, Tikbatz v'sarafta ksiv mi she'ena mechutza l'kvitza v'tzreifa yartzeh shemechutza tlisho kvitza v'tzreifa. Let's say before she dies, she's sentenced to death. She wants to leave something, so she cuts off her hair. So the Gemara says that hair is not asur. That's not her mammon. You only have to burn something that needs to be gathered and thrown in the thing. Something that has to be actually cut off and thrown in the thing is not. So Russia's hair is not asur. So a tzaddik hair is not asur either. So what's the question of a seir tzaddikim? What's the question about a tzaddik's hair? What are we asking exactly? Says Gemara, what's peah nachris? A wig. Her shaitel. The shaitel of a Russia, the shaitel of a tzaddik. So the shaitel of a tzaddik, what's the pshat? That means, do we consider it to be their money and therefore it needs to go and be burnt? Or the shaitel, do we consider it to be part of their body and therefore what? It doesn't get, it's not asur ba'ana. Now, according to this, like Mendel was saying, now the shaitel of a Russia, for sure, either way, memanoshach. If it's part of their body, you need to kill their body. If it's their mammon, it needs to be destroyed. But now the shaitel of a tzaddik, of which the shaitel, again, the tzaddik itself, we're not killing the tzaddik, but we're burning all of their mammon. So is the shaitel part of the body which goes away, or is it part of the mammon that gets destroyed? Zak the Gemara, edim-witnesses begufa kegufa damia, lo tzricha detalya besinda. So the Gemara says, I understand. Hechidami, edim-witnesses begufa kegufa gam. If she's wearing the shaitel, you're not going to go rip it off her head. It's part of her body. L'maisa, she could take her shaitel with her. Lo tzricha detalya besifta. No, we know that a woman, what does she do? She doesn't always wear a shaitel all the time. Some women do, but sometimes when they get home, what do? They take off the shaitel, they put on the tichel. So what do? When they take off the shaitel and they hang it on the peg now. So you have the shaitel of the tzaddikas on the peg. Now we're destroying the whole ear. Can she put on the shaitel and take it with her? It's expensive shaitel after all. $5,000, $10,000, depending where she lives. It's an expensive shaitel. Or, lamaisa, does she not be able to take it and it has to be destroyed? Says the Gemara, what's the pshat that she be able to put it on? Since it goes on and off all the time, we consider it to be what? We consider it to be part of her hair, part of her body, literally, and therefore she can go. Kilavushadami. Because again, we don't destroy all the clothes. The clothes that you're wearing, we don't take off of you. The clothing that you have extra, seemingly, will destroy. But kilavusha dami means it's like the clothes that she's wearing. The clothes that she's wearing right now, the shaitel is part of her clothing that she's wearing. We don't destroy. Teiku, tishbi yitaretz, kushiyos ubayos. Very interesting.
It should be enough for me if she has multiple shaitels. She would like multiple dresses.
Right. So I would assume that all the other shaitels she would have to destroy. Yeah. Shouldn't have multiple shaitels anyway. So now the Gemara says you have to take all of the shlala and you have to throw it into the city square. Rechava doesn't mean a street, it means a city square. Now Thornhill, what's the city square of Thornhill? We don't have one. So does that mean that we can never become a Nirani Dachas? Maybe. Says the Gemara, Tanarbana, Ein la Rechov, Ein a Nasis Nirani Dachas. That's Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Ein la Rechov, Osin la Rechov. If it doesn't have a city square, then you can make a city square. Maikim, if they go, what are they arguing about? Mar Savar, Rechova, Meikara Mashma. Mar Savar, Rechova, Hashta, Nami Mashma. The question is, you have to have a city square. So the argument is, can you now make a city square or not? One Mandarma says, if it doesn't have a city square, no city square once, never a city square, therefore can never become a Nirani Dachas. Other opinion says, city square doesn't have it now, but we can make the city square, and Lamaisa we can make any city into Nirani Dachas. Fine, that was the easy daf. Now let's go to the hard daf. Kufir Beis, Amud Beis. I'm going to try to read some of the Rashis. We're not going to finish the whole daf today, because tomorrow's daf is very short anyway. We'll probably get up to Chumas, Yerkavu, the 2 dots, or a little bit after that. But let's see this now, what's going on. Anytime you see a chart in the art school, you know you're in trouble. So says the Gemara, V'ha'ekdesho sheba yiftu. Hekdesh sheba yiftu. You don't have a chart? Flip 3 times. Anytime you see 7 pages for one thing, you know you're in trouble. V'ha'ekdesho sheba yiftu. Tana Rabbanan. I'm not in trouble. Tana Rabbanan. Hayuba kachim. So now we spoke about destroying all their stuff. But we also said that shlala excludes what? Shlala excludes shlal shamayim. Shlal shamayim means something that belongs to heaven, something that belongs to God, something that belongs to the Beis HaMikdash. So what do you do now? You destroy all of this stuff, but now you have something that belongs to God. That's what? That's hekdesh. What do you do with the hekdesh? You can't destroy it, so do you just take it with you? Or do you say it's part of the Irani Dacha, so we can't just treat it like hekdesh? We can't destroy it because it's hekdesh, but we can't just use it for hekdesh because it's part of the Irani Dacha. So what do you do? Says the Gemara, turn about it. Hayuba kachim, kachim izbeach yamusu, kachim bedek habayis yiftu, trumos yirkuvu, ma'aser sheni v'chisvei kodesh yignizu. So if you have kachim, so if it's kachim izbeach, if you have animals like Rashi says, kagon olos v'ashamos shavashai betocha, that what? That now what are you going to do with it? So it belongs to God, but it's also part of the Irani Dachas. Elami susahu lahakrif kabana shavashai malalo shehudchu. Hilkach yamusu, fourth line of Rashi, first Rashi. Therefore, what do you do? Konsen osan lekipa, umachilan osan seorim atcher kresan nifkas afilu demeam asar kidla kaman. So the Gemara says we have a problem because now you have the kachim, so you can't destroy it, but you're also not going to bring it on the mizbeach because it was part of the Irani Dachas. So what do you do if you can't kill it and you can't bring it on the mizbeach? So there's two options, as we'll see. Either you could be podet, you could redeem it and then use the money. The Gemara doesn't like that right now for some reason. The Gemara is saying we don't want to even redeem it because the money is crumb as well. So what do we do with it? We take it, we indirectly kill it. You feed it barley. We had this for a person as well sometimes. You put it into a kippah, you put it into a little box, you feed it barley, and it blows up. That's what you do with kachim. Kachim is be'ach yamusu. Kachim bedek habayis, if you had something that was supposed to be used for the bedek habayis, like money or something, yiftu, or an actual, let's say, item like a menorah or something you're going to donate to bedek, then that, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't like leave it because it's not going to die. It's not an animate object. It's inanimate. So what do? You go ahead and you could be po to that and use it for the Beis HaMikdash. And then trumos, that becomes, again, part of the Irani Dachas. Trumos you have to leave to rot, similar to leaving the animal to die. And Meiser Sheni, you actually bury. And we'll go through all of these. We'll get to the first few. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Behemta velo behemas bechor meiser. Rabbi Shimon comes along and he excludes bechor and meiser. He says if you have a behema, bechor, and meiser, you also don't destroy it. Shlala, what else don't you destroy? Prat lekesav hekdesh v'kesav meiser. Kesav hekdesh and kesav meiser, you don't destroy either. So Amar Mar, let's go back to the first case. Hayuba kachim, kachim izbeach yamusu. This case of kachim izbeach, you have animals again that are supposed to be brought as hekdesh. Hekdesh animals, and now they're part of the Irani Dachas. You can't just kill them, not right, that there's a kachim part. You can't go ahead and bring them on the mizbeach because there's an Irani Dachas aspect. Says the Gemara, V'amaya musu. Well, what's the other aspect? What's the other possibility? Well, why are you making it die and basically losing a value? Why didn't you let it go ahead and graze? Let it become a balmum. Once it becomes a balmum, we know the halach is that you can redeem it, take the money, and then bring it to the Beis HaMikdash. Why are you choosing to basically lose this animal totally? Why are you concentrating more heavily on the Irani Dachas aspect of it than on the Hekdesh aspect of it? So now there's a machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan amar zevach reshaim toeva, because the Torah says that the zevach, that the korban of a rasha is an abomination, and therefore over here, as Rashi explains, even if I don't bring this actual animal, but I would go ahead and let it graze and become a balmum, and then take the money and bring it to the Beis HaMikdash, that would be in the pasuk, that would be under this pasuk of zevach reshaim toeva, and therefore I have no choice but to let it die. I can't directly kill it, but to indirectly let it die. Reish Lakish amar, no, that's not the problem. The pasuk doesn't include the money. This is just the money. But he says mamon balimhu, that even if you let it go ahead and graze and become a balmum, and now you take that money is mamon balim. What do you do with mamon balim in an Irani Dachas? Destroy it. Zak the Gemara v'hacha bekachim shechai be'achriyusa. The Gemara is going to make a suggestion and then reject it, so don't invest too heavily. But chacha bekachim shechai be'achriyusa. This is talking about kachim that you're chaya be'achriyusa. What does that mean? There's two types of kachim. There's kachim that the owner is chaya for, and kachim that the owner is not chayav for if something happens to it. So this is kachim that the owner was chayav for. Therefore what? Therefore it was like the mammon of the Baal. For Rabbi Shimon the Amar mammon bailimhu, it's like the mammon of the Baal. Therefore you have to get rid of it. Says the Gemara, what? For Hamid to say, for the question is, how do you get rid of it? So either Rabbi Yochanan says you get rid of it. Again, they both agree. You get rid of it by making it die. Why? Because either it's zevach v'shaim toeva, or it's mammon bailimhu l'maisa. Says the Gemara, Hamid to say for Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon. So the Gemara throws this out and says no. This can't be Rabbi Shimon because the Sefer is Rabbi Shimon Omer Behemta. Therefore, the Reisha is not Rabbi Shimon. Therefore, you're dealing, again, just to simplify things, you're dealing with kachim that you're not chayiv b'achriyusan, which means who does it belong to if the Baal is not chayiv in it? He has kachim, but he's not chayiv if something happens to it. So who does it belong to? 100% it belongs to Shamayim. Now the question is, what happens to that? So the Gemara says, "Bekachim kalim ve'aliba de Rabbi Yossi Aglili." So now you have a problem. You have something that totally belongs to Shamayim. If it totally belongs to Shamayim, so I don't understand. Why are we making it Yamusu? Go ahead and let it graze and be poded. Says the Gemara, that's the machlokes. No, you can't do that because it's still mamon balim. Why is it mamon balim? Either because the pasuk says zevach v'shayim toeva, or lemaisa it's just mamon balim. Says the Gemara, v'aliba de Yosei Aglili, to amar kachim kalim mamon balim, aval kache kachim mai yiftu. So now the Gemara is making a chiluk. The Gemara is saying you have two levels of kachim. You have kachim kalim, things that are on a lower level, and kache kachim, things that are on a higher level. Things that are on a higher level, we're dealing with stuff that the guy is not chayi b'achu yusen. Things that are kache kachim that are on a higher level, again, we have two aspects to all of these things. On one hand, they're what? They're kodesh. On the other hand, they're part of the irani dachas. So what do you do? So Gemara makes a very interesting chiluk now. If you're dealing with kache kachim, which are the higher level ones, so which way are they going to lean a little bit? They're going to lean towards being more kodesh than more irani dachas. So what do you do with the kache kachim? Makes sense. You can't bring them to the kodesh because they still have the aspect of irani dachas. So what do you do with them? You bring them, you go, you let them become a balmum, you sell them, and you bring that money to the kodesh. That makes a lot of sense. Kache kalim, you go ahead and you're going to lean a little bit towards the kodesh. You're going to lean a little bit towards the irani dachas side. Therefore, what? We're not going to go ahead and let you take the money and bring it to the base of Mikdash, but you also can't go ahead and just destroy it because it has some aspect of kodesh. Therefore, what do? Yamusu, you let it die, and lamaisa, you don't do anything with the money. That's what the Gemara is learning at this point. Says the Gemara, good, but no problem. Aditani seifa kache bedekabayis yifdu, but it says that you're podit. In the next part of the Mishnah, it says that you're podit. So what should it have done? If in fact the halacha was that it was different by kache kachim and kache kam, what should the Mishnah have done? It should have said, Bamed dvar mamurim, when do you go ahead and yamusu? By kache kalim. When do you go, but by kache kachim, then you yiftu it, just like you yiftu the what? Just like you yiftu the kache bedekabayis. Liflog v'listening b'dida, Bamed dvar bekachim kalim, v'bekache kachim yiftu, kevan dika chata shemesu baleh, delamisa azalo paskilei. Gemara says, no, they save themselves. It says, oh, you're right. The way we explain the kache kachim, where it's kache kalim, that's the way we explain it. Why doesn't the Mishnah say Bamed dvar mamurim? Because it's not so simple. Because there are actually cases of kache kachim, which you're not going to go ahead and redeem. What's an example? A chatas. If there's a chatas, somebody did a sin and he's about to bring it, and the guy who's about to bring the chatas, he sets it aside and he dies. So we just said kache kachim, what do you do with them? By irani dachas, what would you seemingly do by kache kachim in general when the guy drops dead? You would take it, you redeem it. The halacha is that there is a certain type of kache kachim, i.e. chatas, when the guy dies, you have to get rid of it. You can't do anything with it. So we didn't want to start cheshboning out in this mission. So we just said kachim is mizbeach yamusu. But in Echnami, there's a chiluk between kache kachim and kache kalim. Why didn't it make that chiluk? Because once you start making that chiluk, then I got to go into all the cases. Kache kachim, you go ahead and you bring it, and then you take the money. Kache kalim, you go ahead and yamusu. However, even within kache kachim, there's certain cases of chatas where you're going to go ahead and you're not going to graze, you're going to leave it, you're going to have to kill it. Gemara says, I want to just not confuse anybody. So we're going to leave it. But Lamaisa, what comes out from this Gemara over here is that, again, when you have a kache kalim by the irani dachas, you take it and you feed it barley and it dies indirectly. When you have kache kachim, since it leans a little bit more to the kodesh, you let it graze, it becomes a balmum, you take the money and you use it in the base of Mikdash.
Always some aspect of being tainted. I don't see how it ever comes off.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying this is tainted, regardless of whether you do all these things for. I'm talking about.
So that's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying that by kache kalim, we have that problem. That's why you can't do it because it's more tainted. Therefore, because of the pasuk of zevach baal of zerach v'shayim, or that lamaisa just mamon balim, you can never use a vekdesh. Since it's kache kachim, it's a little bit tainted. Therefore, you can't bring it directly to the base of Mikdash, but by going in a roundabout way, by being poded, it loses its thing. The same way that Meiser Sheni loses its sanctity when it's cut. You're right, but that's the whole thing. That's why kache kalim dafka, kache kalim can't be, because it's tainted forever, no matter what. That's exactly, but it's klot when you understand like the svara behind it. It's very gishmak. Zog the Gemara. Again, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish agree that kache kalim needs to be amusu because the Maisa it's tainted, like you're saying. But they learn from different places. One says it's a mefersha pasuk. One says we don't learn from the pasuk, but we learn it from Mamon Balam. So the one who says it's a mefersha pasuk, I understand why he doesn't say like the other opinion. But why doesn't the one who has a mefersha pasuk, why doesn't the other guy say like the mefersha pasuk? Why does he need his other reason that kache kalim is mamon bailim heim, which is tainted? Says Gemara Reish Lakish, my time Rabbi Yochanan. Amar l'cha ki amrina zerach v'shayim to'eva hani mili hecha deisnu beinayu aval hacha kevan dishtani ishtani. Says no, that pasuk of zerach Rishayim Toeva, that the zevach of a rasha, the korban of a rasha, is an abomination. That's specifically the zevach of a rasha. That's the actual korban of a rasha. This wouldn't be the korban of a rasha, because what are you doing here? You would take it and you would let it. You would take it and you would be poded and you would take the money. That you can't do either because mamon ba'alim hey, not because of the pasuk. The pasuk's dafka by a korban. Here it would still be a problem because it would be the mamon ba'alim, and therefore again it comes out. Somebody wakes you up tonight in the middle of the night and says, "Quick, kache kalim." What happens? Yamusu, feed it barley and gone. Again, this is kache kalim that was in Ir Nidachas. Kache kachim. What happens? You bring it, you let it graze. It grazes, it becomes a balmum. You sell it and you use it in the Beis Hamikdash. That's it. The whole block. You got it right there. Zok the Gemara. Rabbi Shimon Omer, behemtecha v'lo behemas b'chor meiser. Again, anytime we don't understand the Gemara, it's because we don't understand the Gemara, not because it doesn't make sense. Rabbi Shimon says that behemtecha, what is behemtecha? Behemtecha excludes, we said that you only kill behemtecha. Veskol shlala you kill. Behemtecha you don't kill. So we said on top that Rabbi Shimon says that behemtecha v'lo behemas b'chor meiser. We're not going to get into a discussion. That's what the whole chart is over there. What exactly do you do with the behemtecha? Means we're saying behemtecha, according to Rabbi Shimon, excludes the behema of a bechor and the behema of meiser. That means that when you have a bechor, when the bechor is born to your behema, you go ahead and you give it to the kohen. Meiser, you give it to the kohen. So the question becomes, what happens if you have a behema that's sitting here that's a bechor, and now the city becomes an Ir Nidachas? So behemtecha tells you that you exclude this behema, and you don't go ahead and you don't kill it, you don't destroy it. What do you do with it? Again, that's a whole discussion, a whole machlokes. Within Ravina, within Shmuel, etc. Do you go ahead and you let it graze, and then take the money? Do you go ahead and yamusu? Is it kachikalim, kachikachim, whatever it is? That's what that whole discussion is. But we're going to talk about either way. Rabbi Shimon says that you exclude from behemtecha, behemas meiser, and behemas bechor. B'maya skinan. But the first question becomes, what are we dealing with here? Eilima betmimin shlal shamayimhu. If you have a tmim, if you have a regular animal that's a regular bechor, let's just use bechor as an example. You have a regular bechor, there's no mum to it, so that's clearly shlal shamayim, that belongs to shlal shamayim, belongs to the kohen, so what do you do with it? So Lamaisa, what should it be? It should not be destroyed. That's pasha. What do you tell me it's not destroyed? It should just go and it should be totally fine. Or again, we should treat it the way that we treated the other ones. It has an aspect of Ir Nidachas, so maybe you can't use it totally. Ela bebale mumin, if it's a baal mun, so what happens with a baal mum? Baal mum actually belongs to the owner. So shlala ninu. So obviously you're going to destroy it. What's the question? So what are you excluding? Either way, it's obvious. Either it's totally normal and it's shlal shamayim and you can't destroy it, or it's a mum and it belongs to the owner and you definitely get rid of it. Amravina la'olam bebale mumin. It's a baal mum. So what's pshat if it's a baal mum that you don't destroy it? Because you have a logistic problem or a technical problem. Mishenachal la'olam bale mumin umishenachal betoras behemtecha. Yatsu elu sheinachal and abetoras be'emtachal abetoras bechoru meiser deshlal shamayim ninhu. So Ravina says it's just a technical thing. You're right. This thing, which is a balmum, which belongs to the owner, l'maisa, what should happen to it? It should be destroyed. But because it's not in the category, technically, of behemtecha, of your behema, because your behema is just stuff that's just a regular behema, as opposed to this, which again you can keep and it's a balmum and you can eat, but since it's not in the category of behemtecha, it's excluded from behemtecha. What happens to it? Again, seemingly you can't go ahead and just use it because it was part of your dachas. Either you have to let it die or you have to bring it and redeem it. Fine. But at the end of the day, that's what he's saying here, Rabbi Shimon, is that it's excluded from behemtecha and it doesn't get destroyed with the other stuff of the Erni Dachas. Upliga de Shmuel, and this argues with Shmuel, the Amar Shmuel, Hakol Karav Hakol Nifte. My Kamer, so Shmuel says that everything is brought and everything is nifte. My Kamer, what's he talking about? Halchi Kamer, Kol Shekarav Kishehu Tam V'Nifte Kishu Balmum Mishalal Imayit. That means anything that's brought when it's a tam and poda when it's a balmum. What's that? That's a regular animal. That's going to be mishalal imayit. That's going to be excluded from shlal. And therefore, again, Lamaisa, depending on whether in this case it's a balmum or it's a tam, we'll have to deal with it accordingly. V'kol shekariv kishu tam ve'no nifte kishu balmum, saying what's the technical issue here according to Shmuel with a bechor, is that it doesn't have the same halachas as a regular animal. Because a regular animal, again, you bring the regular animals when it's a bechor, when it's a maisa, when it's a regular animal, and it's a tam, and there's no balmum, you bring it. The difference is that a balmum by a regular animal, you could be poda. This balmum by a bechor and maisa, you're not able to be poda. Therefore, when it's not poter, when it's a balmum, mi behema nafka. Therefore, it's excluded from behema. Again, it's similar to Ravina, just a different svara. And again, it has a lot of nafkins, which we're not going to get into. But according to Ravina, the reason that a bechor, meiser, and bechor, that behema, bechor, and behema, meiser are excluded is because it's not in the category of behemtecha. It's not in the category of behemtecha. Therefore, it has a separate din. Unclear what you do with it. Either you let it die, or you go ahead and you kill it indirectly. According to Shmuel, it's not a problem of being excluded from behemtecha. It's that it's different than the other things for another reason. The reason it's not in behemtecha is not just because it's not in behemtecha, because it's not called your behema, is because it's treated differently than a regular behema. As opposed to a regular behema, which is either brought on the mizbeach or redeemed, this behema, the bechor and the meiser, is not. It is brought on the mizbeach when it's full, but when it's a balmum, it's not redeemed, and therefore it's not in that category. And again, you take it out of that category. You wouldn't destroy it, but the question would be, what would you do with it? Either misa, or you would go ahead and you would indirectly kill it. Let's just go a little bit further. But again, that's what that whole chart is dealing with here, exactly what you do with it. But they both agree that it's excluded from behemtecha and that it's not killed along with the rest of the stuff. Zok the Gemara, trumos here kavu. When you have truma of a irani dachas, so you go ahead and you let it rot. Amar of Chista, well, what's the case here? Loshna ela truma biyad Yisrael, ava truma biyad Kohen, kevan de mamone hu tisarf. What's the case here? You have a Yisrael who lives in the city. So what does that mean, truma? Either he has the truma and what did he do with it? Either he's holding the truma in his hand and he hasn't given it to a Kohen yet, or he already gave the truma to a Kohen. Let's say he gave it to a Kohen already. What's the pshat? It's pasha. What's going to be the halach if he gave it to a Kohen already? Who does it belong to? It belongs to the Kohen. What do we say happens to the property of a Kohen? Whether he's a rasha or a tzaddik, what happens to it? It gets destroyed. So it's pasha that if he gave the truma to a Kohen already, the truma gets destroyed. It's a property of the Kohen. So that can't be what we're dealing with here because we just said trumos yirkavu. We said that if the Kohen's a tzaddik, he doesn't get killed, but his stuff will still get killed.
Only if he's in the city.
If he's in the city, we're talking about. We're talking about in the city. So lo shel truma biyad Yisrael. So it must be a truma biyad Kohen, kevan de mamone hu tisarif. It gets destroyed. It doesn't have the same level of kedusha that we wouldn't destroy, that we just put it away. So a regular Kohen, if the Kohen if he got the truma ready, we burn it. So it's in the hands of the Yisrael. So the Yisrael has the truma, he hasn't given it to a Kohen yet. So what do you do with it? You let it rot. Says the Gemara, I understand. Masir Rav Yosef, Meiser Sheni v'chisvei hekdesh yignezu. V'ha-meiser Sheni biyad Yisrael ketruma biyad Kohen dam yuktani yignezu. I understand. Meiser Sheni, you have to be gones. But Meiser Sheni is the same as truma biyad Kohen, and you told me that over here you do geniza, and over there you go ahead and you destroy it. We're going to get to this tomorrow. I just want to leave you with the svara of truma biyad Yisrael. Why should truma biyad Yisrael not be destroyed? Because what are the two possibilities that he could do with this truma? What are the possibilities? If Yisrael has a truma, what could he do with it? He has to give it to Kohen. Which Kohen can he give it to? He can either give it to a Kohen in the city, or he can give it to a Kohen out of the city. If he gives it to a Kohen in the city, what happens to the truma? Destroyed. If he gives it to a Kohen outside of the city, doesn't get destroyed. So since he's holding the power in his hand, so we're not going to let him go ahead and give it to a Kohen outside of the city, because again, he's part of an Irani Dachas. But we're not going to make it as bad as assuming that he already gave it to a Kohen in the city. So this is like a pshara, it's somewhere in between. Since he didn't give it to the Kohen outside of the city yet, according to the way the Gemara is learning right now, what do? Yirkavu. It's sort of like in no man's land. It doesn't belong. If he gave it to a Kohen already, if he gave it to a Kohen outside of the city, nothing happens to it. If he gave it to a Kohen in the city, it gets destroyed. He's holding it in his hand now. What lamaisa, how do we treat this truma? We're going to say a different din of Yirkav, we're going to let it rot. Since, yes, you could have given it to a Kohen out of the city, but you might have given it to a Kohen in the city. If anything, there's more of a chance you're friends with the Kohen in the city. So therefore, we're not going to consider it that you gave it to the Kohen. You didn't give it to anybody yet. So we're not going to destroy it because you didn't give it to a Kohen in the city. But we're also not going to say now you can just go ahead and give it to any Kohen you want because we already made this in Irani Dachas. Therefore, the middle ground is Yerkova. We have to leave it and leave it to rot. Tomorrow we'll finish Sanhedrin.
You can give it to a Kohen who's in the city, but his silo is outside the city. No,